Well, thank you very much, and hello, brothers and sisters, friends. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge that we are here on the traditional territory of Treaty 6, and I'd also like to acknowledge the Métis people who share a deep connection with this land. And of course, I'd like to, there you are. I'd like to thank you, Bob, for your very, very kind words. I have to say, we did, in fact, fight some pretty good fights together. And I think that we made a difference for workers, and we're going to continue to do that. And I'm not going to dwell on exactly how long ago it was that we did that together. I will say Bob had about the same amount of hair then as he does now. But nonetheless, it was quite a long time ago. But many of you here will know that Bob is someone that all of us are very fortunate to learn from and to have on our side. So thank you very much for everything that you've done. So I want to thank everyone else as well for showing up today and for showing me around and for coming to hear what I have to say today. Thank you to everyone from the pipeline unions and all the trade unions for being here, including Heiko Wishorn, the International Director for Pipelines of UA Canada, and the many other folks who are with us here today. I also just got to meet the most amazing young woman. Her name is Alana. Alana's going to say a few words after me, so I won't steal her thunder. But when you meet a young mother like her, tough as nails, working hard to make a living for her and her child, doing something she loves and doing it so well that she's winning many awards and getting promoted, it brings home what this pipeline fight is all about. It's about people. It's about the pride that you all have in your work, and it's about the livelihoods that rely on these good jobs. Workers like Alana and like all of you, you get why this pipeline fight matters. You get why these good jobs matter, and you get why defending the laws of our country matter. After all, you all work hard. You all play by the rules, and you have every right to expect that your governments will do the same. Because when governments don't play by the rules, when governments choose to work for special interests and not work for people, then regular people and families suffer. Last week, we heard about how workers at a pipeline building facility in Regina are facing significant layoffs if the Trans Mountain Pipeline is halted. This fight that we are in right now, it's not about politicians and it's not about governments. It's about people like each and every one of you. It's about defending your jobs and your livelihoods. It's about defending the resources that belong to each and every one of us and each and every one of you as Albertans. Resources that have helped build this province for 25 years and for 25 years before that. And it's about defending the schools that your kids go to, the hospitals that your loved ones need, and the public services that we all rely on. And that's what I want to speak to you about just a little bit today. I want to give you an update on how we're fighting for you. Fighting for your jobs, fighting for your families, and fighting for workers just like you all across Alberta, and make no mistake, all across Canada. Now, as you all know, the BC government took aim at our economy and our workers. Over 2 weeks ago, without any warning, they threatened to bring in laws that limit the amount of bitumen that goes into the Trans Mountain Pipeline, currently or in the future. What you need to know, and what all Albertans and all Canadians need to hear, is BC doesn't have that right. And so for that, there have to be consequences. What they are doing not only puts the federally approved expansion of the Trans Mountain Pipeline at risk, they are putting at risk our ability to export any of our resources to the West Coast, including resources that have been transported safely for 50 years through existing pipelines. In so doing, they are putting at risk good jobs. They are threatening to break the law as a means of harassing the investors that are backing Albertans and, quite frankly, backing our economic recovery. And make no mistake, if the rule of law means that little, then they have also put at risk investors and investments and investor certainty right across this country. And here's the kicker. Ironically, they are also taking dead aim at the National Climate Change Plan, a plan that rests on the successful completion of this pipeline. So like I said, there do have to be consequences. Last week, as some of you may have heard, I announced that the AGLC will stop buying BC wine. In 2017, that amounted to roughly 17.2 million bottles, or over 1.4 million cases. That's about $70 million paid to BC wineries. Now, I'm not the only person who is sad about not being able to buy that wine. I'm sure many people are. I like that wine. Really, I do. But I also know a lot of British Columbians who like to drive their cars, who like to fly in planes when they go on vacation or work, and who also like to heat their homes using Alberta energy products. So it's now been over a week since the wine ban. Now, federal officials, because of what we did, federal officials went out to BC, and they remain in BC, to see if they can come to a solution and get the BC government to come to its senses. And that's a good thing. And as I said, this isn't a dispute between the BC government and Alberta. It's actually a dispute between the BC government and Canada, which is why it's important that those officials are out there. But that doesn't mean that your government, the Alberta government, is letting up. Earlier this week, we held the first meeting of the Market Access Task Force. This is a team of people who are very expert in the area, former political leaders, former oil and gas leaders, economists, legal scholars, and more, who are going over options with us about how we can keep the pressure on the BC government. And make no mistake, we do have options. Depending on how those talks go in BC over the course of the next few days, we may or we may not have more to say about those options next week. But this is key. Our patience won't last forever. We in Alberta are practical people. Seeing is believing. BC basically needs to do this. It needs to stop threatening to use illegal and unconstitutional means to stop the Kinder Morgan pipeline. And they need to start standing up for working people and the economic security of their fellow Canadians. And I say that because, interestingly, Frank McKenna, who is on the task force that I announced on Wednesday, former Premier of New Brunswick, and a member, as I said, of the task force, he put it quite well, actually, in our meeting on Wednesday. He said that for every day that this pipeline is delayed, for every day that we are forced to sell our resources to the United States at a huge discounted price, tens of millions of dollars of Canadian wealth evaporates. And you know where it reappears? That wealth reappears south of the border in Donald Trump's America. Why? Why would we do that? What kind of country operates that way? Not our country. It shouldn't be our country. So the question to the BC government is this: are you helping to make life better for your fellow Canadians, including workers in BC? Or are you content to continue to harass this pipeline, to block the thousands, the tens of thousands of jobs that go with it, and threaten the National Climate Change Plan? I know what side I'm on, and I'm pretty sure I know what side you all are on. And the fact of the matter is that the BC government needs to get on side as well. So friends, before I wrap up, I have a favor to ask of all of you, and it's great that we have such a great collection, such a great number of people here. We need each and every Albertan, along with everyone who values Canadian energy and the security of our country's economic future, to come together and to make sure people know why that this pipeline needs to get built and built without delay. The good thing is that we are far from alone. This week, we launched new online tools for everyone to use to make their voice heard. As of just a few minutes ago, well over 25,000 people have already signed up to pledge their support and send a message to the Premier of BC. Albertans and Canadians from all walks of life standing together, making it known why this project matters to them. Now, if you haven't had a chance yet to do that, please go to the Government of Alberta website and show your support. And make sure that you get your friends and your family and your neighbors to do the same. Because when it comes down to it, this is about you. These are your resources. These These are your jobs, your hospitals, your schools, your future. Let's work together. Let's end the games and the delays. Let's make sure all of you who are the future of our energy industry can build good lives working in this industry for many, many years to come. Thank you all for inviting me here to come, and I know that if we keep this fight up together, we will be successful. Thank you.
Thank you for the very kind words, Premier Notley. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alana Markland. I am the National Manager for Youth, Diversity and Indigenous Relations with UA Canada, the United Association of Plumbers and Pipefitters. I'm also a very proud member of UA Local 488. I'm a Red Seal journeyman welder with my Alberta B pressure ticket. This industry has provided a livelihood for my family. It's helped me advance my career, and it's allowed me to participate in so many opportunities to promote youth to enter the trades. From mentoring in the field, to instructing here at the Alberta Pipe Trades College, and now a national manager with UA Canada, I get to promote that diversity in the trades. Pipelines that are built by Canadians for Canadians ensure that we adhere to the highest standards in the industry. We care about environmental protection, and I care that that work is done right, and that the pipelines are safe. Having worked on them myself, I know from personal experience that they adhere to very high standards and meet safety and go along with environmental protection. As a Canadian and as an Albertan, I see how important it is for these pipelines to our economy, and I'm very, very proud to support my Premier in her push to approve the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Growing up in this province, I see how oil and gas industry has shaped us, providing income for families. It's supported small businesses, focuses on apprenticeship programs. It's this industry that provides Albertans and Canadians with the high standard of living that we appreciate. Premier Notley and the NDP government understand that the livelihood of working families is so important. And I want to thank her very much for fighting for workers like me, for fighting for Albertans and Canadians, and fighting for our natural resources, ensuring that in the midst of climate change, she's taking action in environmental protection. Alberta's oil industry is a huge part of what makes Alberta so great. This pipeline is going to provide jobs for skilled tradespeople all over Canada. And it's time to stand up for our nation, stop selling our resources at discount, and start getting top dollar for so our nationwide economy can flourish. Thank you very much.